Patience with others is power, but patience with yourself is mastery. Most men can endure the waiting imposed by circumstances, yet they collapse under the weight of their own restlessness. They demand results from themselves too quickly, despise their own progress, and grow bitter when success does not appear in the hour they expect it. But nothing great is built in haste, not fortunes, not character, not mastery. To govern others you must first govern yourself, and to govern yourself you must learn to be patient with your own growth. When I was young, I wanted progress at once. I wanted wealth, respect, recognition, all in the shortest time possible. But the world did not yield so quickly. I had to train myself to resist my own urgency. I began to measure progress not in days but in years, not in single achievements but in steady habits. And I discovered something powerful. Once you surrender the need for immediate reward, you unlock the discipline to build anything. For impatience with yourself is a form of weakness. It tempts you to abandon your path before it bears fruit. A man who cannot wait for his own skills to develop will forever be mediocre. He begins a craft, finds it difficult and quits. He starts a business, meets resistance and abandons it. He sets a goal, feels discomfort, and turns away. This is how the impatient waste their lives, jumping from one pursuit to another, never remaining long enough to achieve mastery. But the patient man accepts the long road. He knows that skill is forged through repetition, through trial, through time. He does not curse himself for being imperfect today, for he knows that patience will make him exceptional tomorrow. Think of the blacksmith shaping iron. With each strike the metal bends, but it does not become a blade in a single blow. The blacksmith repeats, over and over, heating, hammering, refining. The process is long, sometimes tedious, but only through patience does the iron become steel. In the same way, you are being shaped. Every failure, every lesson, every practice is another strike of the hammer. If you lack patience, you will abandon the forge before the weapon is complete. If you endure, you will emerge unbreakable. The impatient mind is restless. It leaps ahead, imagines itself already at the finish line, and despises the distance still to travel. But progress is always hidden in the quiet, unseen work, the hours of study, the days of repetition, the years of discipline. Do not resent this. Embrace. Patience with yourself transforms these invisible labors into the bedrock of greatness. While others grow frustrated with their slow progress and give up, you remain, adding stone upon stone, until one day your foundation is unshakable. I learned to be patient with my own discipline. There were days when I faltered, days when I failed to live up to my own standards. But instead of cursing myself or abandoning the effort, I persisted. I treated each day as another chance to refine my habits, another opportunity to strengthen my resolve. Over years, this steady patience transformed into consistency, and consistency became strength. That is the secret. Patience not only prevents failure, it multiplies success, because it allows you to persist long enough for progress to compound. Many men sabotage themselves because they demand too much, too soon. They expect overnight mastery, and when it does not appear, they grow discouraged and quit. They see others further along the path and despair, forgetting that patience is the difference between the beginner and the master. The master is not more gifted, he is more patient. He endured the long years of practice that others would not. He accepted the slow climb, while others demanded shortcuts, and because he endured, he arrived where few ever reach. Patience with yourself is also the cure for overthinking. The restless man doubts every step, questions every choice, criticizes himself until he is paralyzed. But the patient man accepts that mistakes are part of the journey. He does not demand perfection now. He demands persistence. He understands that clarity comes with time, that wisdom grows through experience. Instead of condemning himself for errors, he learns from them and continues. This is the power of self-patience. It transforms mistakes into lessons rather than prison. Ask yourself, do you treat your growth with patience, or do you sabotage yourself with constant frustration? Do you give yourself time to evolve, or do you demand results that cannot possibly come so quickly? If you wish to master anything, wealth, skill, influence, even peace, you must learn to endure your own imperfections without surrendering. Progress is not a straight path. It is slow, winding, filled with missteps. The impatient abandon it. The patient remain until they arrive. I have often been praised for my discipline, but what few understand is that discipline itself is born of patience. To rise early every day, to save steadily, to work without applause, all of this requires patience with the process. Discipline without patience collapses, for no man can force himself to endure discomfort indefinitely if he demands instant reward. Patience transforms discipline into habit, habit into character, and character into destiny. So remember this: the greatest enemy is not the rival outside, but the impatience within. If you can conquer that, you can conquer anything. If you can learn to be patient with your own journey, you will outlast every obstacle, every competitor, every storm. The world belongs to those who persist, and persistence is nothing more than patience in motion. Be patient with yourself, and one day others will marvel at what you have become. They will call it talent, genius, even fate, but you will know it was something simpler, something rare. It was patience, always patience. Pressure exposes the truth of a man. It strips away appearances and reveals whether he is guided by discipline or driven by impulse. Most men believe they are strong until the storm comes. Then under the weight of urgency and fear they crumble. They speak when they should remain silent. They act when they should remain still. They rush when they should wait, and in their collapse they surrender the very advantage they once believed they possessed. Patience under pressure is not merely a virtue, it is survival, it is leverage, it is power. I learned early that the world is never stable for long. Markets rise and fall, industries expand and collapse, wars break out, economies shift, opportunities vanish as quickly as they appear. Those who build their strength on the illusion of permanence are destroyed when chaos arrives, but those who build their strength on patience are unshaken. They expect the storm, they prepare for it, they accept that pressure is inevitable, and because they accept it, they do not fear it. When panic strikes, watch how men behave. Some rush to liquidate their assets, convinced the end has arrived. Others scramble to defend their pride, lashing out blindly at those around them. Some retreat altogether, abandoning years of labor in a single night of fear. They believe they are responding to reality, but in truth they are responding to their own impatience. They cannot tolerate the uncertainty, the waiting, the discomfort of standing still while the storm rages. So they move, and in their frantic movement they destroy themselves. I did not fear pressure, because I knew its secret. It breaks the unprepared, but strengthens the patient. When the market collapsed, when competitors shouted that the industry was finished, I did not rush. I studied, I conserved my resources. I let others exhaust themselves in panic while I stood steady. In time, when the storm passed, as storms always do, I was still standing, stronger than before, holding what others had thrown away in fear. That is the advantage of patience in chaos. It allows you to endure long enough for opportunities to emerge from destruction. Imagine a captain at sea. The winds rise, the waves crash, the crew trembles. The impatient captain panics, shouting contradictory orders, steering the ship erratically. He believes he is saving it, but he is ensuring its ruin. The patient captain does not ignore the storm, but neither does he fear it. He steadies the wheel, waits for the right moment, and guides the ship with calm hand. His composure spreads to the crew, who obey without doubt, and together they outlast the storm. The difference is not in skill, it is in patience. Pressure will test you in the same way. You will face moments when everything seems to collapse at once, when finances crumble, when relationships break, when plans dissolve. The impatient man interprets this as failure. The patient man interprets it as triumph. He understands that chaos is temporary, that no storm is endless, that endurance itself is victory. While others waste themselves in panic, he builds strength in silence, and when calm returns, he holds the field alone. You must also understand that pressure is a weapon used by others. Rivals will deliberately create urgency, hoping to provoke you into mistakes. They will set false deadlines, spread rumors, stir panic, all to push you into hasty decisions. If you allow impatience to rule you, you will play their game. But if you remain patient, under pressure, their weapon becomes useless. In fact, it turns against them, for every attempt to disturb you only exposes their own restlessness. Nothing unsettles a rival more than your calm in the midst of their chaos. Do not mistake patience for inaction. Under pressure, patience is active. It is the choice to pause, to breathe, to calculate, to delay until clarity appears. It is the refusal to surrender to fear. Most men believe action is always superior to stillness, but under pressure the reverse is often true. The first reaction is rarely the best one. The strongest decision is often the one made after waiting, after observing, after letting the noise subside. Patience gives you that clarity, while others blind themselves with hate. Ask yourself, how many errors in your life were made because you acted under pressure without patience? How many words spoken in anger? How many decisions made in fear? How many opportunities lost because you demanded certainty in a moment of uncertainty? If you had paused, if you had waited, what might the outcome have been? The truth is that most mistakes are not born of ignorance, but of impatience in the face of pressure. Patience under pressure also commands respect. People are drawn to those who remain calm when all else is collapsing. They see in that composure a kind of strength they cannot explain. It creates authority without words, influence without effort. A man who can stand steady while others panic becomes a pillar that others rely on, and the world always rewards the pillar, because in times of crisis, everyone seeks stability. So train yourself now. When small pressures arrive, delays, inconveniences, unexpected changes, do not curse them, use them as practice. Each time you resist the urge to react instantly, you grow stronger. Each time you remain calm in minor chaos, you prepare yourself for greater storms. Then when true pressure arrives, you will not be shaken. You will already be trained in patience. Remember this: the world is full of men who can act when the sun shines, but it is ruled by the few who can wait when the storm rages. Pressure is not the enemy, it is the stage upon which patience reveals its power. Endure it without haste, without fear, without surrender, and you will find that pressure, instead of breaking you, becomes the very force that sets you apart. And when the storm passes, as it always will, the impatient will lie in ruins, while you remain untouched, unshaken, unbreakable. Setbacks are not the enemy, they are the disguise in which opportunity often arrives. Most men do not see this because they are blinded by impatience. When life denies them what they want in the moment, they curse, they panic, they retreat. I learned to welcome delays, to welcome failures, to welcome disappointment, because within them lies the chance to gain what others cannot. Patience transforms defeat into strength, while impatience turns even small obstacles into destruction. Think of a man digging for treasure. He strikes the earth for days, weeks, perhaps months. Then one morning he grows tired, declares it hopeless, and abandons the effort. Another man, arriving days later, continues with steady persistence and finds the treasure a few feet deeper. The difference was not skill, it was not knowledge, it was patience. How many fortunes have been lost because men could not endure the waiting? How many victories were abandoned on the edge of triumph because impatience demanded they quit too soon? When I faced setbacks, I did not see them as signs of failure. I saw them as tests of my endurance. Every obstacle was an invitation to prove my patience. Rivals who suffered loss would withdraw in despair, selling their assets for scraps. I bought them. Rivals who lost confidence abandoned their ventures. I acquired them. Their impatience was the soil in which my empire grew. The stronger my patience, the weaker they became, until their setbacks became my opportunities. You must learn to detach yourself from the noise of immediate defeat. A temporary loss means nothing to the man who can wait. A deal falls through. Does that mean the opportunity is gone? No, it means the timing is not yet ripe. A project fails. Does that mean you are defeated? No, it means you are being trained for a better attempt. Impatience interprets every setback as the end of the road. Patience interprets every setback as a bend in the road, and that difference defines destinies. I recall countless days when markets fell, when rumors spread that oil had lost its value, when critics predicted the collapse of my enterprises. My competitors trembled. They sold their holdings, desperate to escape what they thought was ruin. I bought, calmly, steadily, without fear. Months later, when the panic subsided and demand returned, I held the advantage. What they saw as disaster, I saw as an invitation. Why? Because I understood that patience is the lens through which setbacks are redefined. Consider the nature of time itself. Every great tree begins as a fragile seed, buried in the dirt. For months it lies hidden, unseen, seemingly dead. If the farmer judged too soon, he would assume nothing was happening and discard it. But in time the roots spread, the stem rises, and the tree emerges. Success is no different. Much of its growth is invisible, occurring beneath the surface, away from the eyes of men. The impatient uproot their progress before it can break through. The patient wait, and eventually they shade the earth with their branches. Most people lose not because they lack ability, but because they cannot tolerate delay. They imagine that true strength is shown in bold moves, in quick action, in visible progress. But what is often called boldness is nothing more than recklessness. The man who cannot endure frustration will always fall to the one who can, for frustration is the tool of time. It is meant to separate the weak from the strong. If you cannot endure it, you will surrender what was nearly yours. Ask yourself, what would happen if you saw every setback as a disguised advantage? What if, instead of retreating, you chose to hold steady, to observe, to wait for the storm to pass? You would find that failure loses its sting. You would find that losses transform into lessons. You would find that the very obstacles that break others become the stepping stones that elevate you. This is not theory. It is how empires are built. Do not think patience means blindness. I did not wait idly for luck. I studied the patterns, the cycles, the movements of the world. I learned that downturns create bargains, that collapse creates consolidation, that rejection reveals new paths. Setbacks are never permanent. They are moments of transition, but only the patient can stand long enough to see what lies on the other side. The impatient collapse at the very moment fortune is about to return. There is a story of a young merchant who sought to grow rich by trading. His first voyage was struck by storms, his cargo lost at sea. Discouraged, he abandoned trade forever, calling it a cursed business. Another man facing the same storm endured. He rebuilt, learned the currents, adjusted his ships. Within years he grew wealthier than any of his peers. Was he luckier? No, he was simply more patient with misfortune. He endured while the others surrendered. You see, patience is not merely waiting. It is waiting with understanding. It is knowing that time itself works in your favor if you refuse to give up. Every difficulty, every denial, every apparent defeat is nothing but a hidden lesson. The impatient miss the lesson and repeat their mistake. The patient absorb it, adapt, and grow stronger. Over years, the difference becomes immeasurable. One man remains trapped in cycles of loss. The other ascends, slowly but surely, until he stands above them all. So when setbacks arrive, as they surely will, do not curse them, do not surrender to despair. Ask instead, what opportunity is hidden here? What strength is this moment demanding of me? How can this delay prepare me for something great? If you learn to see setbacks not as ends but as beginnings, you will possess an advantage, so rare it appears almost unnatural. The world will marvel at how you rise from each fall stronger than before, how you endure what breaks others, how you turn loss into power. They will call it genius, but you will know the truth. It is patience, always patience. Competition is the true test of patience, for it is here that men reveal whether they act with discipline or with desperation. Rivals are not defeated by clever words or by frantic movement. They are defeated by time, by endurance, by the one who can remain composed while others spend themselves in haste. I did not outwit every competitor, nor did I overpower them by sheer force. I simply waited longer, moved with greater calculation, and allowed their impatience to destroy them. When two men race, it is not always the swifter who wins, but the one who knows when to conserve his strength. The world applauds speed, but speed is fleeting. Endurance. This is what endures. A competitor may surge ahead in the moment, boasting of his advantage, certain of his inevitable victory. But if he has not mastered patience, his triumph will be short-lived. The patient man walks steadily behind, conserving energy, gathering resources, observing mistake, and when the moment is right, he overtakes the hurried victor who has already exhausted himself. Business, politics, war, even daily life, Every arena favors those who can time their actions with precision. Impatience makes men strike too soon or retreat too quickly. Patience waits until the opening appears, until the opponent reveals weakness, until the path is clear. I cannot count how many rivals lost fortunes by moving before the moment was ready. They rushed into investments, rushed into expansions, rushed into decisions that appeared wise in the hour, but foolish in the years that followed. I watched, I waited. Then, when they stumbled, I claimed what they left behind. Do not imagine that this requires inaction. On the contrary, patience in competition is constant preparation. While others rush forward blindly, the patient man sharpens his tools, strengthens his position, and refines his understanding. To the outside observer, he may appear slow, hesitant, even timid, but when the decisive moment arrives, he moves with such certainty that it appears as if victory were inevitable. What others mistake for luck is simply timing, timing born of patience. Think of a chess player. The impatient player lunges at the first opportunity, eager to attack, intoxicated by the prospect of quick victory. The patient player, however, sees further. He sacrifices in the present to secure the future. He bides his time, letting the impatient reveal their plan, exposing their weakness. And then, when the board belongs to him, he strikes once, decisively, ending the game. Life is no different. It is not the man who moves first who wins. It is the man who moves best. I recall countless competitors who mistook my silence for weakness. They believed that because I did not respond to every provocation, because I did not rush to match their every move, I lacked courage. They were wrong. My silence was strategy. My waiting was calculation. While they wasted themselves on small battles, I focused on the war. They sought victory in the moment. I sought dominance in the end, and time, always, sided with me. Patience in competition also demands restraint of pride. Rivals will taunt you, attempt to provoke you into rationality. They will boast of temporary advantage, mock your silence, interpret your composure as fear. Do not respond. Every outburst feeds their confidence. Every reaction confirms their control. But when you remain unmoved, when you show no sign of disturbance, they begin to doubt themselves. Doubt spreads into mistakes. Mistakes open into opportunities, and suddenly the advantage is yours, not because you struck wildly, but because you waited while they faltered. Understand this. Most men cannot endure the quiet work of waiting. They need motion, noise, and constant engagement. They measure progress by activity, not by outcome. This is why they are easy to defeat. Offer them distraction, and they will chase it. Offer them provocation, and they will respond. They are slaves to urgency, incapable of restraint. The patient competitor sees this weakness, and exploits it not with aggression, but with silence. While others burn themselves out, he reserves his fire. Imagine two generals facing each other across a battlefield. One grows restless, convinced that his enemy's stillness must conceal weakness. He attacks early, before his troops are ready, simply to ease his own impatience. The other waits, calmly, until the attack reveals itself. Then he counter-strikes, overwhelming the disorganized foe. Victory was not in numbers or in brilliance, it was in patience. The same truth governs every rivalry in life. He who endures the longest, he who acts last and best, he who resists the pressure to move before the time is right, that man will always prevail. But patience is not only about delaying action, it is about creating inevitability. While my rivals rushed, I built systems that grew stronger with time. Every day that passed without victory for them was still a victory for me, because time fed my patience and drained theirs. Competition is not a sprint, it is erosion. Those who burn bright collapse quickly. Those who burn steady outlast the years. I did not need to defeat every competitor directly. I only needed to remain standing while they consumed themselves. And so, one by one, they vanished, while I endured. So I tell you this, in competition, patience is the greatest weapon. Do not be provoked into haste. Do not be fooled by temporary victories. Do not mistake noise for power. Endure, observe, conserve your strength until the decisive moment, then move with such precision that the world calls it destiny. For in truth, the patient man makes his own destiny, while the impatient man surrenders his to chance. And when the contest is over, when years have passed, and the field is silent, It will not be the loudest or the quickest who remain. It will be the patient, always the patient. The greatest suffering in life comes not from what happens to us, but from our refusal to accept what we cannot control. Men torment themselves because they believe the world must bend to their will, because they believe every outcome must follow their design. When it does not, they rage, they despair, they break. But the truth is this: life will never conform to your every desire. There are forces greater than you: markets, chance, time, the decisions of others. If you cling to control over these things, you will exhaust yourself and destroy your peace. The wise man learns patience not only in waiting, but in letting go. I built great enterprises, but even I could not dictate every outcome. Oil prices fell, laws shifted, rivals schemed, workers left. At every turn, life reminded me that I could not command the entire world. What I could command was myself, my discipline, my composure, my response. That is where true power lies. Impatience is the illusion that you can control everything. Patience is the recognition that you cannot, and the strength to act wisely in what remains within your hand. Consider the river. It flows around rocks, around fallen trees, around mountains themselves. It does not waste itself trying to move the obstacles by force. It adapts, it bends, it finds another path, and in time it wears down even the greatest stone. This is the model of patience. Do not demand that the world move for you. Move with it, around it, through it. The man who resists reality is crushed. The man who flows with it endures. Many men ruin themselves because they cannot release what is beyond their reach. They grip tightly to lost opportunities, replaying them endlessly in their minds. They cling to relationships that have ended, to investments that have failed, to outcomes that will never come. They believe that by sheer force of will they can reverse what is already gone. But clinging is a form of impatience. It is the refusal to accept the truth of the present. Patience means loosening your grip, allowing the past to fall away, and preserving your strength for the future that can still be shaped. I have seen men destroyed not by misfortune, but by their obsession with controlling it. They invested everything in an idea, and when it failed, they refused to release it. They poured more and more into the hole, desperate to command what was already lost. They could not let go, and so they fell with it. I too faced failures, but I learned to separate myself from them. If a venture did not serve me, I walked away. If a plan collapsed, I did not waste years demanding it succeed. I redirected my patience toward new ground. That is why I thrived where others perished. Ask yourself, how often have you suffered because you demanded that life follow your script? How often have you wasted years fighting battles you could not win, holding on to what should have been released long ago? The patient man does not make this mistake. He distinguishes between what is his to control and what is not. He invests his energy only in the former and accepts the latter with calm. In this acceptance lies freedom, the freedom to endure without torment, to act without fear, to live without being broken by disappointment. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. It does not mean apathy, it means clarity. It means you see the world as it is, not as you demand it to be. The impatient call this surrender, but it is not surrender, it is strength. For when you release what cannot be held, your hands are free to grasp what can. When you stop wasting time on what is lost, you gain time to build what endures. The world belongs to the man who knows where to place his energy, and he cannot know this unless he has the patience to let go. Think of a gambler who cannot leave the table. He has lost heavily, yet he insists that one more turn will reverse his fortune. He grows desperate, reckless, consumed by his inability to accept loss. In the end he is ruined, not by the game itself, but by his refusal to let go. Now think of the investor who sees the same loss, accepts it, withdraws, and begins again elsewhere. In time he recovers, not because he never lost, but because he had the patience to release what was beyond saving. This is the difference between ruin and survival. There is also a deeper truth. Letting go teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not the master of all things, that life is larger than any one man. This humility is not defeat, it is liberation. For once you accept that you cannot control the tides, you stop exhausting yourself in trying. You learn instead to sail with them, to wait for the wind, to act when the moment is right. Impatience demands constant force, constant struggle. Patience allows you to move with grace, conserving strength until it matters most. So when you face what cannot be changed, release it. When outcomes escape your hand, do not chase them into ruin. When life denies you what you desire, do not rage against it. Endure, adapt, move forward. Patience in letting go does not make you powerless. It makes you untouchable. For the man who clings can always be broken, but the man who flows cannot. He cannot be cornered, cannot be trapped, cannot be defeated, because he is never where destruction expects him to be. Understand this. Mastery of life does not come from bending everything to your will. It comes from bending yourself to endure what will not bend. That is the hidden strength of patience. It does not merely wait. It releases, adapts, survives and grows stronger while others waste themselves in rage. And when the years have passed, when others are consumed by their need to control what could never be controlled, you will remain, not because you conquered everything, but because you mastered yourself. And that in the end is the only conquest that matters. In a world that never stops talking, silence is patience made visible. Men reveal themselves by their words. Every boast, every defense, every hurried explanation exposes what they wish to hide. Yet the man who remains silent, who withholds, who waits before speaking, creates an aura that no amount of noise can match. Patience in speech is not simply the absence of words. It is the deliberate control of them, and when you master that control, you hold a power that few ever grasp. I learned that silence unsettles people. They expect quick responses, sharp comebacks, constant chatter. They measure strength by volume, by how loudly and how quickly a man can assert himself. But those who rush to speak often speak without wisdom. They say what they later regret. They commit to what they cannot deliver. They reveal strategies that should have remained hidden. Their impatience with silence betrays them. The patient man waits, listens, observes, and when he finally speaks, every word carries the weight of discipline. In negotiations, silence has won me more than words ever could. A rival would make an offer, expecting me to respond instantly. Instead, I would pause, I would wait, letting the silence stretch. That silence would grow heavy, and in that wait, they would begin to doubt themselves. They would speak again, adjusting, improving their offer, desperate to fill the void. My patience had turned silence into leverage. Understand this: the one who can wait longest to speak controls the conversation, because impatience always reveals itself through unnecessary words. Even in conflict, silence is a weapon. When insulted, most men rush to defend themselves. They raise their voices, argue, retaliate, proving not their strength but their insecurity. Yet when you remain silent, when you do not respond at all, you rob your opponent of his power. His words hang in the air unanswered, and he begins to question himself. Did his insult land? Did it matter? Did it even reach you? Your patience in silence forces him to wrestle with his own uncertainty, while you remain untouched. There were times when newspapers accused me of corruption, of greed, of cruelty. They wrote with fury, demanding that I defend myself. I did not. I let the words fill the air, and I remained silent. Critics expected outrage, denial, counterattack. But the more they expected, the more my silence consumed them. They spoke louder, wrote more furiously, until they exhausted themselves. And when time revealed the truth, I stood unmoved. Patience had turned silence into victory. The impatient cannot bear silence because silence demands strength. It demands that you endure the discomfort of being misunderstood, the sting of being underestimated, the temptation of proving yourself. Impatience demands immediate validation, but patience teaches you that validation is unnecessary. True confidence is revealed, not in how quickly you defend yourself, but in how little you feel the need to. Silence also sharpens perception. When you are not rushing to fill the air with your own voice, you begin to notice details others miss: the hesitation in a rival's tone, the contradiction in his words, the unease in his expression. People reveal themselves constantly, but only to those patient enough to listen. While the impatient man is busy speaking, you are gathering intelligence, storing it, preparing to use it at the moment of your choosing. This is why silence born of patience is not weakness, it is strategy. Ask yourself, how often have you spoken words you later wished you had held back? How often have you rushed to fill a pause with chatter, only to weaken your position? How often have you given away too much simply because you could not wait in silence? If you are honest, you will see that impatience in speech has cost you more than silence ever could. The tongue is a dangerous weapon when uncontrolled, but patience restrains it until its use is most effective. Understand this. Silence commands respect. In a room full of men talking over one another, the one who says little but listens intently becomes the center of gravity. Others lean toward him, wondering what he thinks, waiting for him to speak. And when he finally does, his words strike deeper, not because they are louder, but because they are rare. Scarcity creates value, and patience in speech creates scarcity. But silence requires courage. To remain quiet while others speak against you is not easy. To pause in negotiation while others wait anxiously is not comfortable. To let insults pass without defense feels unnatural. Yet it is precisely this discomfort that makes silence powerful. Most cannot endure it. They break, they rush, they reveal. You, if you are patient, will not. And that difference will give you an advantage, invisible to those who live enslaved to words. I tell you this, master silence, and you master timing. Master timing, and you master control. Words are most powerful, not when they are many, but when they are few, precise, and delivered at the right moment. Patience gives you that moment. Without patience, you will always speak too soon, or too late. With patience, you will always strike at the perfect time. So practice silence. Resist the urge to defend yourself. Delay your response when pressured. Listen more than you speak. Let silence do the work that noise cannot. In time you will find that men lean toward you, rivals fear you, and the world respects you, not because of how much you said, but because of how much you withheld. For patience in silence is not emptiness, it is presence, discipline, and power. And in a world drowning in noise, it is the patient who remain unshaken, and the silent who hold the throne. The mind is the battlefield upon which patience is truly tested. Every doubt, every fear, every restless impulse is born in the mind before it shows itself in action. Most men are conquered here, long before the world ever challenges them. They let their thoughts run wild, demanding immediate comfort, immediate certainty, immediate results. And because they cannot master their own minds, they can never master their lives. But the man who trains his mind with patience, who endures his own inner storms without yielding, becomes unshakable. I discovered that discipline of thought is not a gift, it is a practice. Just as the body grows stronger through resistance, the mind becomes resilient through patience. Each day is an opportunity to endure the small irritations, the small temptations, the small setbacks without reaction. And each time you resist, you carve strength into your mind. Do not believe that great composure appears suddenly in crisis. No, it is built quietly, daily, in the countless moments when you choose patience over impulse. Consider the soldier preparing for war. He does not wait for battle to learn his endurance. He trains endlessly, repeating drills, conditioning his body, sharpening his instinct. By the time the battle comes, his composure is natural, his movements automatic. So too with the mind. If you wish to remain patient under great pressure, you must train in the small pressures, when traffic delays you, when insults reach you, when plans are disrupted. These are your drills. If you treat them as opportunities instead of annoyances, you will find yourself prepared when true challenges arrive. The impatient man despises small trials. He curses them, resents them, demands they disappear, and so he never learns. When real adversity strikes, he collapses, because his mind was never trained to endure. But the patient man embraces these trials. He sees in them the chance to sharpen his control, to prove his endurance, to prepare himself for greater battle. In this way, what others call inconvenience, he calls instruction. And over time he becomes calm in storms that destroy the rest. Your mind will always seek ease. It will whisper that discipline can wait until tomorrow, that discomfort should be avoided, that difficulty is unfair. If you obey, you will remain a slave to impulse. But if you are patient, if you resist these whispers day after day, you will rewire your mind to serve you instead of betray you. Do not underestimate the power of small, consistent patience. It may seem invisible now, but in years it transforms into a fortress that no force can shake. I trained myself in this way. I rose early when I wanted to sleep. I saved money when I wanted to spend. I kept silent when I wanted to, but each act was small in itself, but together they formed the habit of patience. And habit, once formed, becomes identity. Discipline ceases to be an effort and becomes who you are. The impatient man must fight himself at every turn. The patient man has already won that battle, and so he moves through life with ease. Ask yourself, what habits are you building in your mind? Do you surrender each day to restlessness, feeding your impatience with distractions, with complaints, with indulgence? Or do you seize each day as training, cultivating patience with yourself and with the world around you? Understand this: there is no neutrality. Every day you are either strengthening patience or strengthening impatience. Every thought, every reaction, every choice is sharpening one blade or the other, and the blade you sharpen daily is the one you will hold in times of crisis. Think of the oak tree. It does not grow in a single season. Year after year it deepens its roots, thickens its trunk, extends its branch. Storms come, winds rage, but the tree stands, because its patience over years has made it immovable. That is what you must become. Each day of discipline is another root sinking deep, another ring added to your trunk. To the impatient, it appears as nothing. To you, it is everything. One day, when the storm comes, you will discover that you cannot be moved, not because you wished it, but because you trained for it. The greatest mistake is believing that patience will appear when needed. It will not. It must be cultivated long before the moment of trial. Do not wait until crisis to practice calm, until insult to practice silence, until loss to practice endurance. By then it is too late. Begin now, with the smallest moments. Practice delaying reaction. Practice bearing discomfort. Practice waiting when every impulse demands haste. In this training lies your future strength. Patience of the mind also sharpens vision. The impatient are blinded by urgency. They see only the immediate, but patience clears the fog. When you are not enslaved by the need for instant answers, you can see further. You can perceive patterns, anticipate outcomes, plan with clarity. Impatience narrows the horizon. Patience expands it, and the man who sees further than others will always prevail. So I tell you this: do not neglect the patient training of your mind. Wealth, power, influence, these are the results of endurance, but the source of endurance is the mind. If you can master your thoughts, you can master your actions. If you can master your actions, you can master your destiny. Train yourself daily. Endure the small trial. Resist the small temptations. Bear the small delays, for in those moments you are forging the unshakable patience that will carry you through everything else. And when others wonder how you remain so calm, so steady, so untouchable, you will know the truth. You trained for it, you built it, you became it, and nothing can take it from you. Real strength does not announce itself. True power does not need to declare its intentions. The impatient crave recognition. They seek to be noticed, to have their every effort acknowledged. They talk endlessly about what they will do, about the victories they believe are theirs already. But the world does not reward noise, it rewards results. Patience teaches you to move quietly, steadily, without fanfare, until the work is done, and the outcome is undeniable. I never shouted my plans to the world. I never wasted energy proving myself to those who doubted me. I let my results speak. While competitors boasted in the papers, I was building in silence. While rivals demanded applause, I was stacking foundation. And when the time came, when my empire stood towering over theirs, No words were necessary. They had spoken loudly, I had acted patiently, and the difference was plain for all to see. This is the final form of patience. Restraint in action, not merely waiting, not merely enduring, but moving with such discipline that you do not seek approval at any stage. You understand that time itself will provide your vindication. The impatient cannot bear. They must announce every step, every plan, every idea, because they need others to validate them. They cannot trust silence. But silence is the domain of the patient. It conceals your strategy, protects your progress, and multiplies your strength. Consider the farmer again. He does not call the village each time he plants a seed. He does not boast about each drop of water he pours. He works quietly, season after season, until the harvest comes. Then, without a word, the fields stand golden, and no one can deny his success. Such is the way of patience in life. The more quietly you move, the more undeniable your results become. Impatience drives men to reveal themselves too soon. They show their hand before the game is won. They expose their plans to those who will use them against them. They demand recognition before they have earned it, and in doing so, they lose the advantage that silence would have given them. The patient man does not make this mistake. He keeps his ambitions private, his struggles hidden, his progress unseen. By the time others notice, his success is already secure. Ask yourself, how often have you weakened your own position by speaking too soon, by revealing too much, by chasing validation before the work was finished? Did it strengthen you, or did it invite resistance, criticism, envy? Understand this. Silence protects you. Patience in action shields you from unnecessary opposition. The less others know of your path, the less they can obstruct it. The world cannot attack what it cannot see. There is also dignity in silence. Those who boast may win applause for a moment, but their pride exposes them. They appear desperate, needing constant affirmation. The one who works patiently, who speaks little, who allows his results to speak for him, carries an aura of certainty. People wonder at his calm, at his lack of explanation. They cannot understand how he advances without fanfare, and in their wonder lies respect. Respect earned not by noise, but by discipline. I have watched many men destroy their futures by chasing recognition. In the present, they grew distracted by the need to impress. They diverted energy into appearances instead of substance, and when time revealed their emptiness, they were forgotten. The patient never suffer this fate. Their recognition arrives not because they demand it, but because their results cannot be ignored. Fame gained through noise is fleeting. Success built in silence is permanent. Think of the stone cutter. He strikes the rock 100 times without result. The impatient would declare the work impossible and walk away, but the patient continues, steady, silent, enduring. On the 101st strike, the rock splits, not because of that final blow alone, but because of every strike that came before it. Success is the same. It is not the one loud action that brings victory, but the countless quiet, patient actions that built the foundation. Patience in action also frees you from distraction. When you no longer seek recognition, you no longer waste time explaining yourself. You no longer dilute your energy, defending your choices to those who cannot understand them. You simply act. Every moment of patience you practice preserves your strength for the work itself. And when the work is finished, when the results stand undeniable, you will not need to explain anything. The world will see, and it will understand. So let others boast, let them crave attention, let them spend their energy announcing victories that do not yet exist. You will move quietly, steadily, patiently. You will endure the long seasons of obscurity without complaint. You will allow your silence to protect you, your patience to guide you, and your results to prove you right. And when the time comes, when your success is complete, it will speak with a voice louder than any boast ever could. This is the hidden key to true success. Patience not only endures, it conceals, it protects, it multiplies. It teaches you to let go of haste, to let go of pride, to let go of the need for validation. It gives you the strength to build quietly, to endure storms, to wait for harvest, to strike only when the moment is right, and in the end it ensures that your triumph is not temporary, but lasting. The impatient may shine brightly for a moment, but they burn out quickly. The patient builds slowly, steadily, until they become unshakable. And when the world asks how you succeeded, how you endured, how you achieved what so many failed to, you will not need to answer. You will not need to defend, to explain, to boast. Your results will speak for you. Your patience will have done the talking, and the world, whether it admires you or despises you, will be forced to acknowledge the truth. Patience was your power. Patience was your weapon. Patience was the hidden key. Always patient. They tell me that success is built on brilliance, luck, or some secret that only a chosen few possess. They are wrong. The true foundation of lasting power, of enduring wealth, of influence that survives generations, is patience. I did not build my empire because I rushed. I built it because I waited. I watched. I endured. The world believes haste is strength, but I will tell you what I know. Impatience is the downfall of men. It blinds them, makes them reckless, forces them into errors that those with steady hands will later exploit. Imagine two men setting out on the same path. One runs quickly, eager to claim the prize, unwilling to wait for the right moment. He spends his energy too soon, burns his resources, loses his discipline. The other moves deliberately. He observes. He allows the storm to pass before he acts. Which of these men will still be standing after the years have tested them? Which of them will quietly overtake the other, not in days but in decades? That is the man who understands patience. When you react quickly to every challenge, you surrender your control. The stock ticker moves a few points, and you panic. A deal delays, and you grow restless. Competition mocks you, and you retaliate. This is how most men live. Slaves to immediacy, victims of their emotions. I learned early that waiting was power. The market could swing wildly, and yet I remained calm. Rivals would shout, newspapers would stir panic, but I did not move until the moment was right. That is why I endured while others disappeared. Patience is not passivity. Do not confuse the two. The patient man is not idle. He prepares, he strengthens, he positions himself. While others flail in desperation, he is steadying his ground. To the outside world it may appear as if nothing is happening, but inside, strategy is forming, foundations are being laid, and when the opportunity arrives, he strikes with precision. The impatient man strikes often and misses. The patient man strikes once and wins. Think of a farmer. He does not plant today and harvest tomorrow. He tills, he sows, he waters, and then he waits. If he digs up his crop each morning to see if it has grown, he destroys the very thing he longs for. Success is the same. It requires cultivation, and above all it requires patience. The man who can wait without despair, who can endure the passing seasons without losing faith, will one day reap far more than those who demanded immediate reward. You must understand, life will test you. There will be times when you will want to force outcomes, when your desire for speed will whisper lies into your ear. Do not listen. Haste is temptation, and it is costly. I have watched men lose fortunes because they could not sit still. They were brilliant, yes, but they lacked the discipline of patience. And brilliance without patience is like a blade without a handle. It cuts its own master. Ask yourself how many mistakes in your life were born not of ignorance but of impatience. How many times did you act too soon, speak too quickly, decide without waiting for clarity? And what did it cost you? If you had paused, observed, let the dust settle, would the outcome have been different? This is the truth few wish to face. Success is not always about action. Often it is about restraint. Consider the oil fields, black gold beneath the earth, hidden, waiting. If I had demanded instant wealth, I might have dug recklessly, wasted resources, and abandoned fields that were yet to yield. But patience revealed abundance. It was not the man who dug the fastest who profited. It was the man who endured the longest, who refined his methods, who stayed when others fled. That was me. That can be you if you learn to wait. Patience is not glamorous. It does not attract applause or admiration in the moment. People will mock you, call you slow, timid, cautious, but when their empires collapse from haste, yours will still be standing. True strength is not in how quickly you move, but in how steadily you endure, and I promise you this, the world belongs not to the restless, but to the patient. So listen to me, if you wish for success, learn first to master patience. Guard it as your most precious asset, because once you hold it, once you live by it, no setback can break you, no delay can shake you, and no man can outlast you. Patience is not just a virtue, it is power, and it is the hidden key that unlocks everything else. Most men collapse not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack the willingness to wait for opportunity to ripen. They are like children who cannot resist reaching for fruit before it is sweet, only to spit it out in disgust and blame the tree. Patience is the discipline that separates the few who rise above the crowd from the many who fade into. If I achieved anything of permanence, it was not because I was the smartest man in the room. There were always others more brilliant, more daring, more aggressive, but I was patient, and that patience allowed me to outlast them all. I have watched great fortunes vanish in a single season, because men could not resist the pull of immediacy. They wanted everything now, profit now, glory now, victory now, but life does not reward the man who demands, it rewards the man who endures. When others chased quick gain, I positioned myself for long-term dominance. When others spent freely, I reinvested steadily. While they scrambled for applause, I silently built foundations that could not be toppled. Patience is what makes strategy more than a plan. It makes it destiny. Think of the market. It moves with fever. It tempts with sudden surges. It terrifies with steep falls. The impatient man is its victim, pulled back and forth by its moods, reacting to every fluctuation, as though the world were ending. But the patient man sees beyond the hour, beyond the day. He does not panic when prices fall, nor gloat when they rise. He waits, for he knows the market is not a sprint, it is a cycle. Time devours the hasty and enriches the patient. That is why I never feared the crash, never feared the because I knew that while men panicked, I would be steady, and steadiness is the ultimate advantage. But patience is more than a tool of finance. It is a weapon in every battle of life. When someone insults you, the natural desire is to strike back, to defend your pride, resist it. I promise you, silence and composure will wound them more deeply than any retort. Patience in conflict confuses your adversary. They expect fire, you give them calm. They expect weakness, you give them endurance. And in their frustration, they reveal themselves. I have seen men destroy their own position, simply because they could not tolerate my waiting. They fought against shadows while I conserved my strength, and by the time they exhausted themselves, I had already won. You may think patience is boring, that it means doing nothing. That is a lie. True patience is active, not passive. It is the discipline of preparation, the sharpening of the blade before battle. Every day that you wait with purpose, you grow stronger while others grow careless. You gather information, you refine your position. You let time destroy your rivals for you. Do not mistake motion for progress. Many men move quickly, but toward their ruin. The patient man appears still, but he is advancing in ways the world cannot yet see. Consider the building of an empire, brick by brick, stone by stone, each piece laid not in a rush, but in deliberate sequence. To the onlooker, it seems endless, monotonous, but one day the walls rise high, the structure towers above the rest, and those who once mocked your slowness now marvel at your greatness. They forget how long it took. They see only the result. That is what patience does. It hides your progress until it cannot be ignored. Do you wish to know why patience is so rare? Because it demands faith. Faith that your efforts will be rewarded, that time will serve you if you do not betray it with rashness. Most men do not trust themselves enough to wait. They crave constant reassurance, constant results, constant movement, but the world is not designed to reward the restless. It is designed to expose. Only the man who trusts the process of time, who believes in the unseen fruit of his labor, will endure long enough to see it ripen. I remember the early days when the oil fields seemed uncertain, when prices fell and men abandoned the business. They said the risk was too great, the waiting too long, the reward too distant. I held fast. I waited while they despaired. I invested while they fled. And when the industry matured, when oil became the lifeblood of progress, I was already there, established, immovable. Do you see? My success was not born of rushing into opportunity. It was born of resisting the urge to abandon it too soon. Patience is a shield against fear. Fear feeds on urgency. It whispers that if you do not act now, you will lose everything. It drives men to foolishness, to desperate gambles, to surrender. But the patient man listens to no such voice. He knows that fear is temporary, that storms pass, that time exposes truth. He does not let fear dictate his actions, and because of that he is free while others are chained. Let me give you a simple truth. The world respects the man who does not hurry. Watch carefully, and you will see it. In a negotiation, the one who demands quickly is at the mercy of the one who waits. In a crisis, the one who panics is at the mercy of the one who stays calm. In life, the one who scrambles for recognition is at the mercy of the one who quietly endures. Patience creates leverage. It gives you control without needing to fight for it. So I say to you, do not despise the waiting. Embrace it. Train yourself to endure delays without complaint, to see obstacles not as walls but as time's test of your resolve. Every moment you resist the impulse to rush, you grow stronger than those who cannot. Every moment you wait with discipline, you step closer to victory. And one day, when the world wonders how you rose above the rest, you will know the answer. It was not luck, not speed, not brilliance. It was patience, always patience.